Hello mga ka-Easy Law, good day. Ako si Attorney Chato Olivas and in this video, pag-uusapan natin ang 100 points about forcible entry and unlawful detainer. I am sharing using my blogspot, attorneychatolibrary.blogspot.com. I will show you. So, eto siya. And I would like to invite you to take a look at this resource, attorneychatolibrary.blogspot.com. Madami akong mga resources dito na pwede ninyong gamitin as a law student and as a bar candidate. Alright, so umpisahan na natin ang pag-uusap tungkol sa forcible entry and unlawful detainer. Okay? So meron ako ditong 100 essential points to remember. Umpisahan natin to with a story. Dalawang story actually. Isang tungkol sa forcible entry at isang tungkol sa unlawful detainer. So doon muna tayo sa story number 1. The scenario, ang title nito, The Midnight Fence, Forcible Entry. Ang scenario, Mang Nestor has owned a small vacant lot in the province for 20 years. He visits it every weekend to garden and check on his fruit trees. Then one Saturday morning, dumating siya at nashock siya, nakita niya merong brand new barbed wire fence surrounding his property and there was a small shanty in the middle of his vegetable patch. So a man named Cardo is sitting there. Ang sabi niya, I have an old Spanish title that says this is mine now. And when Mang Nestor tried to open the gate, Cardo threatens him with a bolo. All right, so the legal breakdown. Prior possession. Si Mang Nestor ang may actual physical possession of the lot. He gardened there every week. Yung ouster, Cardo entered using stealth. Okay, he secretly built a fence while Nestor was away, and he also used threat or force, the bolo, and the new lock. Ang remedy ni Mang Nestor is to file a case for forcible entry. Even if Cardo's Spanish title were real, hindi lang siya pwedeng pumunta dun sa land and mag-take over. And Mang Nestor has 1 year from the time he discovered the fence to file an action interdictal to kick Cardo out. So mamaya explain natin yung action interdictal. So ang lesson, in forcible entry cases, the entry is illegal from day 1. Punta na tayo dito sa story 2, The Cousin from the City, and this is about unlawful detainer. Ito ang kwento. Aling Mirna lives in a 3-bedroom house in Manila. 2 years ago, her cousin June lost his job. So out of the goodness of her heart, naawa siya, sabi niya dun sa cousin niya, stay in the spare room for free until you get back on your feet. Now, this is what we call possession by tolerance. Pinayagan niya na magstay yung pinsan niya doon sa spare room. Fast forward to today, may trabaho na yung pinsan niya. He has turned the spare room into a mini gym and ayaw niyang umalis. He even started bringing loud friends over at night. So nasawa na si Aling Mirna, sinabi niya sa pinsan niya, it's time to go. I need the room back by the end of the month. And yung pinsan simply laughs and says, you let me in? You just cannot throw me out. So, ano yung legal breakdown nito? The initial possession of June was legal. Pinayagan siya ni Mirna. So there was tolerance. Ang turning point nito, the possession became illegal the moment Mirna demanded that her cousin leave and the grace period expired. Anong remedy ni Mirna? She must send a formal demand letter to pay kung naniningil siya, okay, kunyari tenant, ano, and to vacate. So, ang critical dito, yung pag-vacate. If June refuses after 5 days for a house, kapag building naman 15 days, Mirna can file the case in the MTC. Ang lesson, in unlawful detainer, the entry was legal at first but the occupant stayed beyond his welcome. Ang forcible entry and unlawful detainer, magkaibang special civil action ito pero pareho silang covered ng Rule 70 of the Rules of Court. So ito ang 50 essential points to remember about forcible entry and another 50 essential points about unlawful detainer. Pareho silang nasa jurisdiction ng first-level courts under the 2022 revised rules on summary procedure and expedited procedures, Administrative Matters 08-8-7-SC. And this administrative matter took effect on April 11, 2022. Ang overall term para sa dalawang aksyon na to ay aksyon interdictal. This post also compares this with two other actions involving real property, namely aksyon publiciana and aksyon reivindicatoria. So dito tayo sa 50 essential points to remember about forcible entry. Forcible entry is a critical legal tool designed to maintain public order by preventing people from taking the law into their own hands to recover property. Hindi pwedeng basta-bastang agawin ng lawful possessor yung property from the unlawful possessor. May action na kailangan i-file. So under Rule 70 of the Rules of Court, ito ang 50 essential points to understand forcible entry. Basics. Ang forcible entry action is a special civil action under Rule 70 of the Rules of Court. Number 2, it is a summary procedure. Meaning, it is designed to be fast and streamlined. In fact, makikita natin mamaya na wala siyang trial. Puro position papers under oath ang isasubmit. And then number 3, it talks about de facto possession. Physical or material possession, regardless of who is the owner of the property. And the purpose is to restore the party who was in prior legal physical possession to their previous state. Number 5, public policy. It exists to discourage self-help and prevent potential breaches of the peace. Now, number 6, property type. It applies only to real property, land, or buildings. Now, ang may jurisdiction dito ay ang first-level courts. That's Metropolitan Trial Court, Municipal Trial Court, or Municipal Circuit Trial Court. And number 8, it is independent of ownership. Hindi pinag-uusapan dito sino yung legal owner ng property. Ang legal owner can still be a defendant in a forcible entry case if he forcibly ousted the current lawful possessor. So ang pinag-uusapan is possession. Ang venue. The case must be filed where the real property is located. This is a real action. Ito yung tinutukoy na local venue. It is the place where the property is located. Now, number 10, prescription. Kailan pwedeng i-file yung case? The action must be filed within 1 year from the date of actual entry. Pero, in the case of stealth, it is counted from the date of discovery by the plaintiff. So tingnan natin yung mga elements ng FISTs. To win a forcible entry case, the entry must be illegal from the very beginning through any of these 5 methods. Force, physical power used against people or things like breaking a lock. Intimidation, using threats to compel the possessor to leave. Strategy, using machination or trickery to gain entry. Threat, a declaration of intention to inflict harm to gain possession. And stealth, entry is made secretly or without the knowledge of the lawful possessor. Ano-ano ang mga procedural requirements? First, there must be prior physical possession. The plaintiff must prove that he was in actual physical possession before he was ousted. Next, the complaint must be verified or under oath. Next, there must be a certification against forum shopping. Sa mga initiatory pleadings, palaging kailangan ito. This is mandatory. And summons. Upon filing of the complaint, the court will issue summons to the defendant so that the defendant will file his answer. And the answer must be filed within 30 calendar days from service of summons. Ngayon, hindi pwedeng mag-file ng motion to dismiss as a general rule. Pero there are 4 situations when a motion to dismiss can be filed, and this applies to all civil cases. 4. Una, lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter. Of course, pwedeng ipa-dismiss ito kasi kung walang jurisdiction yung court, kahit gaano katagal yung proceedings, kahit gaano kadami yung ebidensya, void pa rin yung magiging judgment kasi walang subject matter jurisdiction. Ang pangalawang ground is litis pendentia. There is already a pending case involving the same parties, involving the same issues, and yet nag-file pa siya. Okay, now that is not good. Forum shopping talaga yon, bawal yon. And then res judicata, there was a case with the same parties and the same issues that was filed before and already decided, and yet nag-file na naman ngayon. Now that is another way of forum shopping which is not allowed. And the last ground is prescription. Hindi na pwedeng i-file kasi nag-prescribe na yung time to file the action. Ngayon, barangay conciliation. Barangay conciliation is necessary if the parties reside in the same barangay or in adjacent barangays. Dapat pumunta muna sila sa lupon at mag-attempt ng amicable settlement. Kung walang amicable settlement, mag-i-issue yung lupon ng certification to file action which must be attached to the complaint. Now, there will be a preliminary conference held within 30 days after the answer is filed, and the purpose of this is to simplify issues and explore settlement. Now, yung preliminary conference, parang pre-trial din yan. Kaya siya tinatawag na conference kasi walang trial. Like I said, walang trial dito because it's summary. Ang mangyayari is the parties will submit their position papers together with the evidence, including judicial affidavit. Now, the court will issue a preliminary conference order summarizing the proceedings, and the parties will submit their position papers within 10 days after the conference. There is no actual trial or testimony required, but the parties must submit the judicial affidavits of their witnesses, and this will serve as direct testimony. This must be attached to the complaint and the answer. Now, the decision period, the court must render a decision within 30 days after the case is submitted for resolution. May mga pleadings na bawal. To keep the case summary, hindi pwede yung mga sumusunod. Motion for bill of particulars, motion for extension of time to file pleadings, motion for a new trial or reconsideration of a judgment, petition for relief from judgment, third-party complaints, and dilatory motions for postponement. Bakit? Kasi pampatagal lang ito. And it will take the case out of the coverage of a summary proceeding, kaya bawal. Ngayon, issue of ownership. There is a provisional determination. If the defendant raises ownership, meaning i-claim niya na siya yung may-ari, the court can only look at the title to determine who has a better right to possession. The court will not decide on who is the owner of the property. A separate action must be filed for that purpose with the regional trial court. So that's in number 36. And number 35, no res judicata on the title. A decision in a forcible entry case does not finally decide who owns the land. Ang pinag-uusapan lang dito is rightful possession. Ano naman ang pwedeng nakapaloob sa judgment? Restitution, ire-restore. So the court orders the defendant to vacate the premises and to restore the possession to the plaintiff. Damages, pwede ba? Only reasonable compensation or rent for the use and occupation of the property. Attorney's fees, pwede ba? Yes. To the winning party, and cost of suit, yes. The losing party usually pays the legal cost. Moral damages, generally, hindi pwede. Okay? So, execution and appeals. Ang characteristic ng forcible entry and unlawful detainer is that the decision is immediately executory if the court finds that the defendant is not lawfully entitled to possess the property. Meaning, ibabalik niya kaagad yung property sa possession ng plaintiff even if there is an appeal. Okay. Kasi dati, nung hindi immediately executory, ang ginagawa ng mga defendant, they keep filing motion for reconsideration and appeal kahit alam nila na wala silang right kasi tatagal yung pagstay nila. Pero hindi na yan pwede ngayon because according to the rules of court, immediately executory. Hindi na nila madedelay yung pagbalik ng possession sa plaintiff. The only time, so look at 43, the only time they can stop the immediate execution is etong dapat mag-concur yung requisites. Number 1, mag-file siya ng notice of appeal. Number 2, post a supersedeas bond. And number 3, periodically deposit the rent with the appellate court. Ano yung supersedeas bond? Whenever you see the word supersedeas bond in remedial law, ito yung yung bond na nakakapag-stop ng execution ng decision because of a bond filed by the losing party. So dito sa forcible entry, the supersedeas bond will cover the back rentals, damages, and costs awarded by the lower court. And number 45, if the defendant fails to pay the monthly rent during the appeal, the plaintiff can ask for immediate execution. Since the case originates from the MTC, the appeal is with the regional trial court. And the judgment of the RTC is also immediately executory in an ejectment case. Once the court issues the writ of execution, the sheriff can physically remove the defendant. Ang writ of possession is similar, pero ang standard term is writ of execution. And preliminary mandatory injunction, the plaintiff can ask for a preliminary mandatory injunction within 10 days from perfection of the appeal to the RTC to restore him in possession of the property. The court must find that the defendant's appeal is frivolous or dilatory, or that the plaintiff's appeal is prima facie meritorious. So, punta naman tayo sa unlawful detainer. Ito naman yung process na aalisin yung person from the property when the right to stay has already ended. The starting point is different. Under Rule 70, here are 50 essential points to master this action. So ano ang foundation? Ano ang unlawful detainer? Ang legal origin nito ay Rule 70. It's a special civil action. And like forcible entry, it also deals with the right to physical possession and not legal ownership. But unlike forcible entry, ang pagpasok ng defendant dun sa property is legal, lawful in the beginning. Katulad ng meron siyang lease contract o kaya by tolerance, pinayagan siya ng owner. The possession becomes illegal only after the right to stay expires or is terminated. It is a summary procedure designed for speed to prevent people from holding onto property they no longer have a right to. Again, ang may jurisdiction dito is first level courts, MTC, MCTC, METC. And prescription. The case must be filed within 1 year from the date of the last demand to vacate. Note, it must be a demand to vacate. It must not be a demand to pay. It must not be a demand to pay or vacate. It must be a demand to vacate. Pwede ring a demand to pay and vacate. Okay, so be very careful about the terminology. And it applies only to real property, houses, buildings, or land. What's the public policy behind this? It prevents landlords or owners from using force to kick out tenants, requiring them to go through the court instead. And the nature of the action, it is in personam, it is a suit against the person, it binds only the parties involved, and it is also a real action because it involves possession of real property. Pag real action, ibig sabihin nito, it involves issues regarding the ownership, possession of real property, including foreclosure of mortgage and partition. So in this case, it is possession. Okay, dako tayo dito sa critical elements. Una, initial possession. Dapat yung defendant has valid possession by virtue of a contract, express or implied. Contract na express like a lease contract, implied yung pinayagan siyang magstay. And that right expired either because the lease contract was terminated or violate, hindi siya nagbayad, or gusto na nung may-ari to take back possession of the property if it is by tolerance. Withholding of possession, the defendant refuses to leave after the right has expired and there is a formal demand to vacate. This is a jurisdictional requirement before filing the case. 1-year rule. The complaint must be filed within 1 year from the demand to vacate. Possession by tolerance. If an owner allows someone to stay for free without a contract, that is possession by tolerance. And the nature, well, termination of tolerance. Once the owner demands the person to leave, the tolerance ends and unlawful detainer becomes the proper remedy. Nature of tolerance, it must be present from the very beginning of the stay for it to qualify as unlawful detainer later. Now, tingnan natin yung jurisdictional demand. 19. There must be a demand to pay and vacate. In case of non-payment of rent, the landlord must demand that the tenant should pay and vacate. Ang format, it should be in writing. Siyempre kasi mas madaling ipresenta yon as evidence, no? And service of demand, pwedeng personal, meaning ipapa-receive yung demand letter personally dun sa uh, prospective defendant, or pwedeng by registered mail, or you can post it on the premises if there is no one there. There is a waiting period. The tenant has to comply within 5 days for buildings, within 15 days for land. And the condition precedent is failure to demand to serve a demand letter can lead to the dismissal of the case. Kaya ang condition dapat may demand letter. Exception to the demand. If the case is based on the expiration of a fixed lease term, a demand to vacate is not strictly required, but it's still recommended. Okay, so that is what I will recommend. There must always be a demand to vacate, and it must be in writing. Now, procedural highlights. The complaint must be verified by the plaintiff. It must be under oath, no? There must be a certification of non-forum shopping, which is mandatory for all initiatory pleadings. There must be barangay conciliation if they live in the same barangay or adjacent barangays. And summons will be served. The defendant will have 30 days within which to file his answer. Katulad rin ng forcible entry, bawal ang motion to dismiss except for the foregrounds. Again, since this is a review, lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter, litis pendentia, res judicata, and prescription. In addition, bawal ang motion for bill of particulars, extension of time, and there are others na bawal. Okay, preliminary conference. There will be a meeting so that the court will determine if the parties can arrive at an amicable settlement or to simplify issues. And preliminary conference will be held within 30 days from the filing of the answer. The parties will file position papers instead of a trial with live witnesses. Sasubmit nila yung under oath na position paper with the judicial affidavits of their witnesses, which will serve as direct testimony. And the court will decide the case within 30 days after the position papers are submitted. Now, ownership and defenses. Ownership as a defense. If the defendant claims he owns the property, the court can only rule on ownership provisionally to decide who has the better right of possession. No res judicata on title. The MTC's decision on ownership is not final. A separate case can be filed or should be filed in the RTC to settle sino ba talaga ang may-ari ng lupa. For agricultural tenants, the case will be referred to the Department of Agrarian Reform. And for co-owners, any one of the co-owners can file an unlawful detainer case without needing the others. Judgment and execution. Merong restitution. The court will restore the plaintiff in the possession of the property. I-order niya yung defendant na umalis at ibalik yung property sa plaintiff. Limited damages, katulad ng forcible entry, only rent or reasonable compensation for the use of the property. Other damages cannot be claimed, like moral damages. Attorney's fees may be awarded, and the MTC decision is effective immediately, even if the defendant appeals. Now, how do you stay the execution? Paano masastop yung eviction? First, the defendant must file an appeal. Okay, magfa-file siya ng notice of appeal with the court of origin, and the appeal will be decided by the regional trial court. There must be a supersedeas bond to cover all back rentals and damages awarded by the MTC. And while the appeal is going on, the defendant must deposit the monthly rent with the court. Pag na-miss niya yung monthly rent, the plaintiff can ask for the immediate execution of the judgment. The court will order that the sheriff will physically evict the occupants and restore the plaintiff into the possession of the property. Mandatory injunction. In the RTC, the plaintiff can ask for an injunction to get the property back immediately if the appeal is clearly dilatory. And finality in the RTC, if the RTC affirms the MTC decision, it is also immediately executory. So Rule 70, Section 21 emphasizes that the judgment of the RTC against the defendant is executed immediately regardless of any further appeal. Meron ako ditong comparison table among forcible entry or unlawful detainer, action publicana, and action reivindicatoria. So ang primary issue sa forcible entry and unlawful detainer is possession de facto, meaning physical and material possession. Sa action publicana, possession de jure, the legal right to possess, and action reivindicatoria, its ownership. Jurisdiction. Sa forcible entry and unlawful detainer, first level courts, always, regardless of value. Action publicana, RTC, usually, unless the assessed value is very low. Action reivindicatoria, usually RTC, unless the assessed value is very low. Prescription, within 1 year from entry or last demand, that's for forcible entry and unlawful detainer. For action publicana, beyond 1 year from the ouster or withholding. And for action reivindicatoria, within 10 years for good faith, and 30 years for bad faith. Type of action. Kapag forcible entry and lawful detainer, that's summary. Ang action publicana, that's plenary, ordinary civil action with full trial. And action reivindicatoria, this is also a plenary action, ordinary civil action with full trial. Sa nature, sa forcible entry and unlawful detainer, to prevent breaches of the peace and self-help. Sa action publicana, to determine who has a better right to possess. And sa action reivindicatoria, to settle the ultimate question of who owns the property. So tingnan natin, no? Summary actions. Number 1, these are intended to be quick fixes to restore the status quo. The court does not care who the owner is. It only cares who was there first, pag forcible entry, or if the stay has expired, unlawful detainer. Pero of course, this presupposes lawful possession. So pag forcible entry, the possession was illegal from the start. Someone used force, intimidation, strategy, threats, or stealth to kick you out. And for unlawful detainer, the possession was legal at first, like a lease or tolerance, but became illegal because the person refused to leave after demand. Sa action publicana, plenary action for possession, if you miss the 1-year deadline to file a forcible entry or unlawful detainer case, you can no longer use the summary procedure. You must file an action publicana. It is a full-blown case. The issue is no longer just who was there, but who has the better legal right to be there. And because it is a plenary action, it takes much longer to resolve than a Rule 70 case kasi hindi na siya summary. Sa aksyon reivindicatoria, the action for ownership, this is the ultimate remedy, while the other three focus on who should be physically holding the property. This action seeks to recover the title and ownership of the land. When you win an action reivindicatoria, possession is usually included as a matter of course. It is filed when the defendant claims they are the actual owner of the property, and it is generally filed in the RTC because it involves title to real property. So 1 year rule of thumb. The easiest way to distinguish these is to look at the clock. Is it within 1 year of the ouster? File a forcible entry or unlawful detainer with the MTC. Is it more than 1 year but you only want possession? File action publiciana with the RTC. Do you need to prove that you are the owner? File action reivindicatoria with the RTC. A note on jurisdiction since 2021 under RA 11576. The jurisdictional threshold for the MTC in property cases was increased. However, forcible entry and unlawful detainer will always be with the MTC regardless of the property's value because they are summary in nature. So hanggang dito na lamang tayo. See you in the next video.